I want to tell you about a conversation I have more often than you think. Someone mentions they have an HSA. They are contributing something, maybe a small amount each month, and they feel great about it. They are using it for medical expenses when they come up. So things like copays, prescriptions, the occasional unexpected bill. And then I ask them, are you investing the funds inside the HSA? The answer is almost always the same. There's a slight pause, and then a quizzical, you can do that? And yes, you absolutely can. And the fact that most people do not know that is costing them one of the most powerful tax advantages available in the entire tax code. Most people think of their HSA as a healthcare spending account, a place to store a little money for medical bills. What it actually is, when used correctly, is one of the most powerful retirement accounts available, more tax efficient in some ways than a 401k or an IRA, and almost nobody is using it to its full potential. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through what an HSA actually is, the mistake most people make with it, and 2 strategies that turn it into something completely different than you probably thought it was. I'm Ken Erdman, financial planner and founder of Erdman Financial Group in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Let's get into it. A health savings account, or an HSA, is a tax-advantaged account available to people enrolled in a high-deductible healthcare plan. If your health insurance has a higher deductible than the IRS threshold for a given year, you likely qualify to contribute to an HSA. For the 2026 contribution limits are $4,400 for individuals and $8,750 for families. If you are 55 or older, you can contribute an additional $1,000 as a catch-up contribution. Here's what makes the HSA genuinely unique. It is the only account in the tax code with what is called a triple tax advantage. Tax advantage number 1, contributions go in pre-tax. Whether you contribute through payroll or directly, the money reduces your taxable income in the year you contribute. Tax advantage number 2 is the money grows tax-free inside the account. Any investment growth, dividends, or interest accumulates without being taxed while it sits there. Tax advantage number 3 is the withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are completely tax-free as well. You never pay taxes on that money, not going in, not growing, or coming out. No other account in the tax code does all 3 of those things. A traditional IRA, for example, gives you the deduction going in, but taxes you on the way out. A Roth IRA gives you the tax-free growth and withdrawals, but not the deduction going in. The HSA, for qualified medical expenses, does all 3. So here's what most people actually do with their HSA. They contribute a small amount, they let it sit in cash inside the account, and every time a medical expense comes up, they spend it down immediately and start over. That approach is not wrong. You are using the account for its intended purpose, but you are only capturing one of the 3 tax advantages, which is the deduction going in. You are leaving the other 2 on the table entirely. Think about what that actually means. A family contributing the maximum to their HSA each year and letting it sit in cash is watching that money earn almost nothing while inflation quietly erodes its purchasing power. The same family investing those contributions inside the HSA in a diversified portfolio, for example, is letting that money compound tax-free over years and decades. The difference in outcomes over a 20 or 30-year period is not small. It is potentially significant to the rest of your financial plan. Most HSA providers allow you to invest the funds once your balance reaches a certain threshold, often around $1,000. Beyond that minimum, the rest can be invested just like a brokerage or retirement account. Many people never know this option exists because nobody tells them. So if you have an HSA with a large cash balance sitting uninvested right now, that is the first thing worth looking at. Here's where the HSA gets really interesting. Most people think of it as a healthcare account, but there is a way to think about it that changes everything. After age 65, an HSA functions almost exactly like a traditional IRA. You can withdraw the money for any reason, not just medical expenses, and you can pay ordinary income tax on it. No penalty, no restrictions, just tax on the withdrawal like any other pre-tax retirement account. Which means for someone who is healthy and can afford to pay their medical expenses out of pocket in the short term, the HSA is essentially an additional tax advantage retirement account sitting right alongside their 401k and IRA. Contribute the maximum every year, invest the funds, let it compound tax-free, and use it in retirement for either medical expenses, completely tax-free, or for anything else at ordinary income tax rates. For high earners who have already maxed out their 401k and IRA contributions, the HSA becomes the next logical place to direct dollars, an additional account growing tax advantage that most people are either underutilizing or not contributing to at all. Now I want to share something that stops most people cold when they hear it for the first time. There is no time limit on when you have to reimburse yourself for qualified medical expenses from your HSA. Listen to that again. There is no time limit for reimbursements. Here's what that means in practice. If you pay a medical expense out of pocket today, such as a copay, a prescription, or a procedure, and you save the receipt, you can reimburse yourself from your HSA at any point in the future. That's next year, 5 years from now, or 20 years from now while in retirement. So here is the strategy. You contribute to your HSA and invest the funds. You pay current medical expenses out of pocket rather than tapping into your HSA, save every single receipt for every qualified medical expense, and years later, potentially in retirement, you submit those receipts and reimburse yourself tax-free. What you have effectively done is created a pool of tax-free money in retirement that is technically a reimbursement for your expenses you have already paid, but functions in every practical sense as retirement income. The key requirements are simple. The expense must have occurred after you opened up the HSA. It must be a qualified medical expense under the IRS guidelines, and you must keep documentation. A simple folder, whether physical or digital, where you save every medical receipt is all it takes. Healthcare is one of the largest expenses most people face in retirement. The ability to cover those costs with tax-free dollars that have potentially been compounding for decades, is one of the most powerful planning tools available, and almost nobody is using it. The HSA is one of the accounts where the basics are simple, but the strategy goes deep. We have covered the fundamentals today: the triple tax advantage, the investing opportunities, the retirement account reframe, and the reimbursement strategy. There is more to explore here, such as how the HSA fits into your broader tax strategy, how to coordinate it with your other retirement accounts, and how to maximize it specifically for your situation. That is a conversation worth having with someone who looks at your full financial picture. Whether that is a full financial plan or simply making sure you are getting the most out of every account available to you, that is exactly the kind of work I do every day. You do not need to have it all figured out before we talk. In fact, most people do not. You just need to be serious about getting there. All right, let me wrap this up. If you have an HSA and you are using it purely as a spending account for current medical expenses, you are leaving 2 of its 3 tax advantages completely untouched. Invest the funds above your minimum threshold. Think about it as an additional retirement account rather than just a healthcare spending account. Pay medical expenses out of pocket when you can afford to, save every receipt, and let the reimbursement strategy work for you over time. Most people with an HSA are not doing anything wrong per se, they are just not doing everything right. There is a meaningful difference between those two things. The HSA is genuinely one of the most powerful tools in the tax code. Most people with access to one are using about 10% of what it is actually capable of. If any of this resonated, if you have an HSA and want to make sure you are using it as effectively as possible, feel free to reach out. I work with people at every stage of the financial journey, and I'm always happy to have that conversation. Link to schedule a call is in the description. If this was helpful, subscribe. I put out new videos every week with no fluff, just real planning conversation for people who are serious about building something. I'll see you in the next one.